everyone, welcome to part 2 of my Q&A, apparently series that I'm doing. Part 1 is already up. It's where I answered all the questions that y'all asked me on YouTube. We're moving over to all of the Instagram questions that you guys asked. I'm scrolling to get to the responses. I screenshotted as many as I could. But like I said, we are likely not going to get through every question because I talk so much, hence this being a part 2 already. Okay, let's just kind of start. Have you ever thought of writing a book yourself? Nah. I know those two things tend to go hand in hand, especially if you're some sort of book influencer. I feel like the ultimate goal for a lot of people is to reach the point where you get published yourself because you've established yourself in the space. But I have zero desire to write. How can I convince my boyfriend to get more cats? I go with the ask for forgiveness, not permission technique in my relationship. Is that healthy? No, don't really recommend it, but it's worked out well for me in the past. And maybe just make a PowerPoint presentation and present the benefits. Don't include the cons, just the pros, and include the benefits of having a multi-cat household. And maybe start with the fact that you're hey, I will pay for the cat food and the litter and the vet bills. Maybe lead with that. That's generally how I start with things. I don't know. Let's see. Do you ever want kids in the future? Nah. Again, another no. And I am the biggest proponent, and I would like to start normalizing and destigmatizing not wanting children. I have never wanted kids, and it is nails on a chalkboard every single time I respond that way, and I get the responses of, don't worry, one day you will, or the what's wrong with you looks that I get, or the pitying looks of oh, you just don't know better. No, let's start normalizing the fact that not all women are meant to be mothers, and I feel like that's a responsible decision to make in your life. I'm going on a tangent here. Okay, let me reel it in a little bit. No, I really don't. And according to my parents, when I was 4 years old, before I knew anything about childbirth or how children are made or the responsibilities of having kids, I apparently approached my parents and said, I'm never having children. And I was adamant about that as a toddler. So I don't know what happened to me in a past life, but I have never had the maternal instincts. All of those have been directed to, pets, not humans. No thank you. I'm good without the tiny human children. So no. And Randy is on the same page as me. Actually, that's a big key of, why our relationship works really well, because he doesn't want kids either. And it's fine. We're both fine with that. Let's see. Favorite comfort read? Oh, Crystal! Oh, you asked this one. Favorite comfort read and a book that hooked you on romance. Favorite comfort read will forever be Akamath. That's a book that I can't even tell you how many times I've read it. It is always my comfort read. Prithian is just my happy place, home, if I'm in a slump, if I'm going through some tough shit in life, if I'm in a bad mood. Reading A Court of Mist and Fury is my comfort read. And honestly, that series is also kind of what segued me into getting into romance, because it was the first series that I legitimately read that the romance was the main plot point that drove the story. That was my gateway book into romance. But book that really hooked me into romance was Kennedy Ryan, like I said in the past, many, many times. Grip, the Grip series. The True North series by Serena Bowen is also another one. Elle Kennedy is also included in that. I feel like a lot of those are what I consider my classics. They were what got me into romance, specifically indie romance. Let's see. Hardest diamond painting kit you have completed. The one that I showed in the last video, that one was forever. It's a huge, huge book stack of dragons. It's very big. And that took a really long time, but it wasn't really hard to do. It's a diamond art club, so it's good quality. I did do a witchy one. I'll insert a picture of it. I did a witchy one that I ordered, I want to say off of Amazon or off of Etsy, and it came from China, and it was really bad quality, and it was just infuriating because it was the first square diamond painting that I ever did, and the drills were just popping nonstop, and it was so tight and so clustered, and there were a couple like rivers in the glue, and it was a mess. So actually probably that one. I did push through and finish it, but it was a doozy. Ooh, these are some good, same person asked some of the best questions. These are the questions that I ask when people need Q&A questions. Third favorite yogurt. Let's see. Peach, strawberry, blueberry. Blueberry? Does that make sense? Yeah, that works. Was that flavor or brand? Oh, what's my third favorite brand? I don't know, I'm thinking too far into it. You also asked favorite pasta form. Rotini. Little spirals. Is that rotini or rigatoni? No, rigatoni are the, like, circle ones. Whatever the spiral ones are. That, fun fact, are what the Cinna-Twists from Taco Bell are. Do you know that? It's pasta that's deep fried and rolled in cinnamon sugar. Yeah, I just blew your mind. So, there you go. That one. Let's see, you also asked, I love all your questions, red pandas or black and white ones? Both. Thank you. Red pandas are the cutest things on the universe, and also regular, like, black and white big pandas are just drunk toddlers for their entire lives, and we need that in our world. There's a lot of negativity in our world, and sometimes you just need to balance it out with pandas tumbling down a playground. And you also asked, let's see, where's the other one? What is your favorite plant in your house? None. I have cats. Okay, let's see. Moving on. How do you manage balancing work, booktube, marriage, and animal life? I don't. I'm really bad at time management. If you ever kind of see me go like a week or two without uploading, I usually try and keep to like an every other day to every third day upload schedule. But if you ever see me go beyond that, that means I'm struggling with my life management. Work, I have a fairly set schedule, and I feel like it helps that I work essentially like a second shift time frame. Like I start work at 4 and it goes until I'm done, basically. Some nights it's really early as like 10 o'clock. Some nights it goes past midnight. And that's kind of beneficial because reason number 1, I'm a much happier person not waking up to an alarm every day. That was a choice that I essentially made when I took on taking second shift, that I consciously made because I will never be a morning person, and the second an alarm wakes me up, I'm instantly in a bad mood. So it's been wonders for my mental health, just being able to wake up naturally. That's a rare gift that I don't think a lot of people have. But 2, that gives me my whole morning and early afternoon to do things. So I feel like I kind of like accomplish a lot throughout my day and then still go to work. Because I'm a good night person, so I get a lot done at night, so I feel very productive at work at night, and I feel like I balanced it with my daytime stuff. That being said, that's generally when I get my filming done, is in the morning or on my days off. I'm filming this on my day off today. Marriage is just, we work different schedules right now, so I feel like it's not a good example of how we balance it, because I feel like that is something that's kind of lacking right now. Not in our marriage, but just in our like time management as far as like getting together and doing stuff. Fridays are a day off that both of us have the entire day off. So Fridays are our dedicated date days. We take that day to, even if it's just stay home, we take that day to actually focus on each other and do something as a couple. Whether that is literally just grocery shopping and doing house chores, or if it's like us taking a day trip and going and doing something, that's something that has been really good for us. And I don't know, I feel like we've just been together so long that I feel like we've just kind of worked out how our relationship works and how communication works with us. So time just gave us a good tip on how to do that. What else? And animal life. Yeah, that is a thing. Fortunately, I feel like a majority of our pets are very self-sustaining, as in, like, the goats don't need to be trained regularly. I don't need to be, I'm coming from a place of somebody who was a horse trainer for a majority of time, and that is something that is a 24/7 job. You need to be working towards goals constantly. And I feel like right now we're kind of just like easy sailing, just coasting through pet care stuff, which makes me want to knock on wood ferociously. But Manny is the best dog ever. He had endless years of training and is just a really good couch potato. The cats are pretty self-sustaining. I am working on training Cricket, actually. I'm trying to teach her tricks, which has been a process. The goats are pretty simple. Hercules just needs basic maintenance and care. So I feel like we're fairly lucky with having very low maintenance animals. Aside from that, I feel like the biggest piece of advice, and this is coming from the horse world, this is where I got this tip from, but I feel like it applies to all animals. I don't know how to phrase this without it sounding weird, but the initial phrase that I've always been told as a horse owner is touch your pet every day. Like, check your whole pet every single day, whether that is you go out and you groom your horse, or you trim feet, or you trim nails, or you play with your animal. Touch your pet, interact with your pet on like a whole body scale. That sounds weird. I don't mean for it to be weird, but like as a horse owner, it's kind of a standard practice every morning or every night when you go to bring them out or put them in. Every night, just like run your hands down all four legs, check them, make sure they're okay. And I feel like that's the best way to also maintain care so that you're always aware of what's normal. But okay, yeah, I went on a tangent there. Let's see, let's move on. Would you ever get more goats? Would you ever consider getting a pig? I answered that on my other video. Yeah, I want Kuni pigs. I don't know if I'll ever get pigs, to be honest with you. I might just stick to goats and mini horses going forward just because I know them. I don't know, we'll see. But I would love to get Kuni pigs. They're adorable. They're the only pigs that graze, so you can use them for like pasture management, and they have hair and they're so cute. I love them. And would you ever get more goats? Yeah, we're planning on getting more goats, just not while we're on this property. We're at capacity land-wise, with what we have. But the goal ultimately in the future is to get more land so that we can get more goats in the future. I would love to, I don't know if I necessarily want to be a breeder. As somebody who works in the rescue world, I have a hard time putting that out into the world, but that's also how like livestock works, because I would love to make my own like goat's milk soaps and lotions and cheeses, and that comes with breeding. Like, you have to breed in order to get the goat's milk. And also baby goats are the best. So yeah, in the future, the answer, yes. Let's see, do you like historical fiction or classic books? I'm gonna go with no. Historical fiction is like my only genre that I will actively say I don't read, even though I do. And I generally love the ones that I do pick up, but it's never a genre that I will gravitate towards on my own. Like, I need to be given a historical fiction book and be like, this is amazing, read it, you'll love it. And I will then read it and love it. But it's never something that I pick up for myself. And what was the other part? Do you like classics? So I'm on the team where I don't think that all classics are as amazing as what high school taught us that they are. I fall somewhere in the middle as far as appreciating classics for what they teach us about the English language and what they taught us about literature and the time period. That being said, I feel like a lot of the classics that are still taught these days are a product of the time. So if they're being used as kind of like a historical piece to not only learn about that time period, but learn how the language was used back then, that makes sense to me. As far as being works of literature, I don't think all of them are amazing. Some I love. And this is coming from somebody who had a really fortunate high school experience. All of my AP English classes, we read 6 or 7 classics every year. So I came out of high school, like I graduated high school having read probably over 50% of what are considered classics these days. So I came out very well read as an 18-year-old, which I am endlessly grateful for, but I feel like that also gave me interesting perspective on what I liked and what I didn't like, and what I'm willing to pick up on my own as an adult. So I feel like a lot of the books that I pick up on my own, as far as classics go, I either appreciate them because I chose to read them and I wasn't being forced to, but I don't critique them as well as I could without like a group setting. So I like classics for the discussions that they pose, for what they teach. Do I think that they're all amazing? No, I don't. Let's see, let's move on to another thing. Why is your husband not ever in the videos? Because he doesn't want to be. Is my face not enough for you guys? That's simply it. He just doesn't want to be on camera, and that's not something I'm ever going to force him to do. And honestly, I like this being my own thing. And that's a piece of advice as far as marriage goes. Have separate hobbies. Have different things that define you as individuals that don't include each other, because I feel like that's a really healthy balance to have. And he's not a big reader. He does occasionally read to appease me. But yeah, this just isn't something that interests him. He watches my videos, he fully supports my channel and everything that I do for it. He is honestly the person who bought me this camera a couple years ago to like move my channel along. He's super supportive of it, but he just doesn't want to be on it, and I'm never gonna force him to if he doesn't want to. So that would be why. Okay, I'm just gonna bounce around a lot now. Why do your goats choose one book? Are they drawn to something about the one book? I don't know. I've been doing the Goats Pick My TBR videos for years now, and I genuinely don't know, but it's always a very precise decision. Like, they make an active decision. And when I first started doing those videos, I purposely would pick two very different styles of books as far as like texture and size and colors and hardback versus paperback to see if they would lean towards one or the other. And they never chose like all hardcovers. They never chose all like dark colors or different textures or different smells. Like, they all come from this library. So I genuinely don't know, and I just like to believe that my goats are just the most decisive creatures in my life, and I go to them when I need decisions made, because I am the least decisive person. I honestly don't know, but it cracks me up every single time that like Napoleon or Neville genuinely chooses, and they're like, not that one, this one, and it's a very clear choice. What is your favorite/least favorite thing about living in the countryside? I will always be a country girl. One, I will never live in a city. That's just, it gives me anxiety thinking about it. It's way too people-y. I don't like humans enough to want to live surrounded by them 24/7. And that's the main appeal for me, is I like open space. I like having grass and nature and space to like go and be alone. Also, being able to have animals is a benefit. I have kind of always grown up in like rural areas, and it's just kind of like what I'm used to. So I've always loved it. It's peaceful. You get exciting things that happen, especially in the area that I'm in. Like, I live across the street from a horse farm, and occasionally a horse will just show up in my front yard in the morning, and I have to go catch it and bring it back to them. Where else can you experience that? Nowhere, my friend. Least favorite thing, though, is the fact that I live far from everything. It's at least a 15-minute drive to, like, anything, if not more. Like, I drive 35 minutes to work just because that's how far away I live. And it's something that I don't think a lot of people think about until you're living in the middle of nowhere. No DoorDash, Postmates, Uber Eats, nothing delivers here. Like, if I downloaded those apps just to see if anything would come here. My zip code doesn't even exist on the apps. There is one pizza place that's like 10 minutes into town that will deliver out here, but I even feel bad making them drive out here. So that is something to consider. If you're considering moving to the country, nothing gets delivered and you're far from anything. So if you like to play the game that I play, where when I'm driving home from work at night and I don't feel like getting gas, even though my gas tank is low, and I'm like, that's a problem for future me. Future me hates it because it's at least a 10-minute drive to the next gas station, and it's very stressful if you're on E, hoping that you make it to a gas station. So that is a downside, is you're far from everything, but that's also a benefit to me. You're far from everything. I'm far from people. We know animals and diamond painting. What's a third interest/hobby we don't know about? Oh. First instinct is to say I'm a horse girl. That's just something that I don't bring up on my channel very often, just because y'all see the goats and the cats and Manny and Hercules and my books and whatnot. But I am first and foremost a horse girl. I have been riding horses my entire life. I have lived on many a horse farm. I will always be a horse girl, and I have endless knowledge and would love endless more knowledge about horses and training and everything in between. I was that horse girl in elementary school who literally only read Pony Pals and Thoroughbred and Heartland and Saddle Club, and I acted like a horse on the playground. Yeah, that was me. This is what you grow into. And I took that. I took riding lessons as a kid. I got a job as an assistant barn manager at a racehorse rehab facility, and I worked at a bunch of other barns as far as just like doing stalls in exchange for riding, and just kind of progressed in the horse world. beyond that, and it's a really big part of my life that I don't really talk about on here that much anymore. One, because I'm not as directly involved as I used to. The farm that I work with moved to a different facility, which is amazing for them. It's like a custom-made facility for rehabbing racehorses, and it's amazing, but it's really far from where I live, so I can only go out there on a very rare voluntary basis. But I'm still on the board for that rescue, so I'm still like included in like the business part of it, but yeah, horses. Favorite song? Okay, there's a lot of music related questions. Favorite song at the moment? What's a comfort song? What do I listen to music wise? So I'm gonna be super boring, guys. In the past like 5 to 10 years, I have basically stopped listening to music. That's a lie. I still listen to music, but it used to be like I would go to concerts constantly. I was really big into like indie music stuff, and I was deep into the music world, and I think that's partially based on like the friend group that I had at the time, but I'm to the point now where like if I'm driving or if I have time to have things playing, it's always audiobooks or podcasts these days. I'm so sorry that I have a really boring answer for that, but going back to like what I genuinely choose to listen to, indie rap. It's the most obscure answer in the entire world. Why would I say that? But indie rap is what I listen to. Astronautilus is still my favorite musician, band, whatever you want to call him. He is one of the coolest rappers, and he's the only musician that I still follow, that I still get all of his new albums and stuff, and I've seen him in shows so many times. I've met him so many times, and he's still one of the coolest dudes on the planet. So Astronautilus, if you're looking for a really cool indie rap, the album Pomegranate and This Is Our Science are top tier. Those are my favorite albums by him. But I listen to him, I listen to Doomtree, I listen to Dessa, and all of the members of Doomtree individually, like Cecil Otter and POS, and I listen to all of them. That's a very obscure part of the music industry. I acknowledge that. This past year, I got into K-pop. I know a lot of you guys have seen my chimney on the shelf. I got into BTS. I was scared to fall down that rabbit hole because I know how I am with fandoms. I know how I react to becoming obsessed with something, and it was a very tenuous trip and fall into the rabbit hole of BTS. And I also fell into the Blackpink rabbit hole. Like, that's like the boy band, the girl band, top tier. And I have been dabbling out from there, but it's a lot. I know a lot of you guys can relate to this, whether you are a K-pop stan or not, or like if you are interested in getting into it, or if you're just looking as an outsider looking in. It's intimidating. There is so much. I'm even more tentative to put this in the video just because I feel like as soon as you start talking about K-pop, let alone BTS, the army just swarms. So I am a very casual K-pop fan. So there's that. Did I answer those questions? Those are some pieces of advice that I have for you. Those are good musicians and styles and whatnot. Okay, I have been talking a lot. I know that I didn't answer all of the questions. I apologize, but I talk way too much for these videos, and they always end up being so super long. So this is where I'm going to cut this video off. I will do more Q&As in the future if you guys are desperate. If you have burning questions, leave them down in the comments, and I will either film another part 3, or I can answer them in the comments. That works too. So thank you to everybody who submitted questions. I will try and check in and do this periodically more often because there was an overwhelming response of questions that you guys had for me. So I will try and keep up with that more. But this is where I'm going to cut it for today. Thank you everybody for submitting questions and for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next video.